Welcome to the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. This week's special article is 10 Things from a 10-Year-Old by Willa T., Honor Queen, and comes from the September-October 2019 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal.
10 Things from a 10-Year-Old, The House of the Temple from a Kid's Perspective, by Willa T., Chaplain of Bethel No. 35, Job's Daughters, Delmar. Actually, I'm the honored queen now, but when I wrote this, I was the chaplain. The House of the Temple is a fun place to visit for people of all ages. There is history, and there are a lot of steps. From a child's eyes especially, the House of the Temple may seem like a maze with a lot of things to do and see. If you're a kid or just a grown-up who acts like one, Dad, here's a list of 10 things that a 10-year-old thinks are pretty cool at the House of the Temple. Number 10, secret passages. There are several secret passages in the house. Some of them just lead to other parts of the building, but some places lead to the roof. After you go through the secret passage to the roof, you'll find a door of the roof where there is another passage to the dome of the House of the Temple. The passages aren't so secret anymore, as years of people opening them with dirty hands have marked up the door. Number 9, ballroom. The ballroom is a great place to run and play and dance, and sometimes there are huge parties there. Around the walls, there are tables that have a lot of Masonic coins on it under glass. There are hundreds of coins from lodges all over the world. Number 8, Hall of Honor. The Hall of Honor has portraits of famous Scottish Rite Masons who you may or may not know, but your parents will probably know most of them. Gene Autry was a famous singing cowboy, and he sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. 7, Hall of Sovereign Grand Inspector Generals. The men who run the Scottish Rite are called the Supreme Council members. There are 33 of them, and they are called Sovereign Grand Inspectors General. I like to visit the portrait of Dad Marlon Mills, who is from my home state of Maryland. He's always very kind to me and my Job's Daughters sisters. Number 6, the Albert Pike Room. Albert Pike was a very important Scottish Rite Mason. The Albert Pike Room has a lot of his belongings and many of his books. Albert Pike's hairbrushes, shoes, and a mask made of his face after he died are all there. It's creepy, but very cool. 5, Grand Commander's Artifact Room. It has so many things to look at. My favorite thing there is a Kentucky pie dish. My father once said, you could walk around there for 100 years and you still wouldn't see everything. There's a bullfighter's jacket that was a gift to the Grand Commander and is very pretty. Number 4, Wisdom and Power. Wisdom and Power are the two sphinxes outside the House of the Temple. Wisdom is seen with his eyes closed because he is looking within. Power is seen with his eyes open because he is looking over everyone. They were carved right in place where they sit from huge blocks of stone. Number 3, the Temple Room. This room is almost too big and beautiful to describe. Everything in the room is bigger than normal. The biennial session, which is a meeting the Scottish Rite has every 2 years, used to be held there, but because the Temple Room has no air conditioning, the session is held at a hotel now. Number 2, the Americanism Museum. This room is like a mini museum with artifacts from great American Freemasons. It has a real jet fighter flight suit and a small model of Mount Rushmore. A cool fact is that it has stone from the White House basement. The story goes that President Truman's daughter, who sat down to play the piano, and the White House was in such bad shape that her foot went right through the floor. The president ordered major repairs, and during that repair work, many Masonic lodges were gifted pieces of the White House. That story is according to Dad Art de Hoyos. Number 1, the library. This is my absolute favorite part of the House of the Temple. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of books. If you go into the stacks of the library, you can see the library from a bird's eye view. There are high shelves with very old books and a huge ladder. There are even books about the Masonic youth groups. Both of the librarians are very friendly and very helpful. Willa is soon to start the 5th grade and is spending some of her summer vacation at the House of the Temple with her dad, Tyler's Place podcast host, Maynard Edwards, KCCH. I'm actually ending 8th grade right now, but it's good to know.
So do you remember, a lot of people think that I wrote this for you. You wrote that whole thing. I think Dr. Brent Morris came behind you and cleaned it up a little bit, but you wrote that whole thing sitting right here at this desk. Do you remember writing it?
I do remember writing it. I remember you sending me off to go find some of my favorite places in the House of the Temple and rank them 1 through 10.
Now, looking back at this list, this is 4 years ago that you wrote. So this came from 2019, September, October 2019. So almost 5 years ago now. Do you still, is this still the right list, or is there a couple of things you would add to it?
There are a few things I would add to it, but it's mainly the same. The library is still my favorite place to be because it's just so pretty to be in. And it smells like books, which is really nice.
Now, what about the youth groups? So we know a lot about DeMolay. We've had DeMolay folks on. And for folks who maybe don't have Job's Daughters where they live, or who are not Masons and aren't aware of what Job's Daughters is, can you explain what Job's Daughters is? And you were chaplain a few years ago, and you're the honored queen now. So give us sort of the elevator pitch about what Job's Daughters is, if you will.
Job's Daughters is a youth group for young women ages 10 to 20 that teaches leadership skills, public speaking, and many other things that you need in your life. I have been a Job's Daughter for this December coming up on 5 years, and I actually won second place with this article in our grand session, which is like our biennial session, but for just our state. I won second place in the photo story article with this the next year, I believe. And I'm currently the honored queen, which is basically the worshipful master of the Job's Daughters Bethels. And we're not run exactly the same, but we definitely have a lot of the same values.
Now, so Job's Daughters chapters are known as Bethels, and you guys have degree work in much the same way that Masons or DeMolay or Eastern Star has sort of degree work. Can you tell us a little bit about your degree work, what the allegory is, what the story is? Obviously, there's some parts that are private for members only, but can you kind of give us a quick overview of what it might be?
So when you're initiated as a Job's Daughter, you are taught the story of Job. And the story of Job is a book in the Old Testament of the Bible, and we learn about Job's loss of possessions by the adversary and his triumph of faith in God. And it's very valuable, and I think even if you're not a young woman becoming a Job's Daughter, you should definitely read the book of Job, or at least know about it.
I think most people probably know, but anybody who's a Christian probably has, or gone to Sunday school, knows at least a little bit in passing about the book of Job. And I think you guys go into it just a little bit more. So take your daughter to work day. You've produced a video today. Now you've done a podcast. So does this make this an excused absence for you to get out of school today?
I would say so. We've done quite a bit today.
So what'd you start with?
We did the mail for the members of the YouTube channel. Then we shot and edited the video for the YouTube channel. And then we went to lunch. And then we came back and we did this.
Well, I'm glad to have had you here today, and thank you for appearing here, and thank you for your writing. You got to write a new article. You got it. It's been 5 years almost since you've written anything for the journal, so you get it together, girlfriend.
I will.
Thank you very much, Willa T.
Like and share this article, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you wish to comment, please leave one, and as a reminder, hit the notifications bell. Any accompanying photographs or citations for this article can be found in the corresponding print edition. The Scottish Rite Journal is published by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. Mark Dreisenstock, 32nd degree, KCCH, Managing Editor. I'm your host, Matt Bowers.